Cork in the Know podcast is back this week, ladies and gentlemen. We have two very special guests with us. Before we crack on with us, remember to always like, share and subscribe, and also download to the Patreon. £3 extra a month for 3 extra episodes. Jesus Christ, a price of a coffee is $3.25, and if you can't afford £3 extra for 3 extra episodes of Cork in the Know podcast, you're quite frankly a disgrace. And I don't want you listening to the free one because you don't deserve it. Anyway, I'm mentally fine today. Everything's going to be good. Ladies and gentlemen, we are here joined by the lads Kevin and Jason from Shitetalk.
Yes. How are you doing?
Shitetalk History Podcast.
The Shitetalk History Podcast.
The lads are from El Paso.
Yes.
They're from Mexico. They're from over the border. They're from the Free State. They are one of mine. I feel already there's a bond between us. I feel that we have an angst. We are angry, but they come to the north a lot to do their podcast. We're doing a live show in the Sunflower in Belfast on Friday the 3rd of March. The Sunflower is a great venue, lads.
It is.
And you've been doing this podcast now. Talk to me a little bit. First of all, we've got Kevin and Jason that are here with us. Talk to me a little bit, lads, about your podcast, what your podcast is, what your podcast does. Why are you so different? What is it all about?
I wanted to express first, we have a unity, the three of us. It's funny we have to come to Belfast.
Yeah.
Because then back in Mexico, we're enemies. Cork and the rest of the country.
Yeah.
But here, we're brethren.
Yeah, but see, this is the thing about when you're in Ireland and you're from Cork and you're from Loud and you meet, fucking Loud bastards, like. But then you meet them in Portugal on holiday. Are you from Loud? Fair play to you.
Good man.
See, I'm from Carlo, so we don't get any of that ever.
I'm not going to lie, but I'm going to pretend you're not even here.
Yeah,
like,
that's the usual.
That's usually how it happens. Kind of like, at least all the other counties have a historic GA rivalry or something.
Yeah.
So I remember that game from 20 years ago.
Carlo's great to drive to Dublin.
It is. It's a fantastic
motorway. Carlo
motorway.
is a town in Donegal. It's irrelevant.
Carlo might as well be a third world fucking country.
It's near Kilkenny. Is that's Kilkenny's beautiful.
Where's
Kilkenny is beautiful.
Well, isn't who's the most famous person from Carlo? Nobody.
It's Sean O'Brien, and that's all.
The rugby player, who spent most of his life injured.
That's true.
Boom. Catherine Thomas.
Yes.
We've got, and that's about
She can't play rugby.
It's Saoirse Ronan, but we're not claiming her because she doesn't.
Whoa! She's Dublin, isn't she?
No, Carlo.
She's a citizen of the world.
She doesn't know where she's from. She doesn't know where she's from. She forgot where she came from.
Was she born in Carlo?
Yeah, and raised there as well.
When did she leave?
Oh, whenever she got talented.
Too soon.
So Saoirse Ronan was born in Carlo, left Carlo maybe to go to university or something, was it?
Probably like in their mid-teens. Yeah.
So she left. Did her family move or did she move? Her family still in Carlo?
I think the family might still be there, but they're from Dublin. So it's, in fairness, we probably just got her.
Well.
And you won't hear this on Jimmy Fallon.
When she's sitting there going up in Dublin and going, now you're from fucking Carlo.
Yeah. But in fairness, she had to move out of there. They only offer education up to primary level. And then if you want to learn anything else, you're going to leave. But she knows where she came from.
Oh, that's brilliant. So your podcast, lads. So tell me a little bit about it.
So, what have we been doing? 4 years now?
About that, yeah.
Yes. 4 years. We researched different stories from the history of Ireland. And then one of us will do all the work and research and put it all together, read it to the other one.
Who's having a can and then just reacts to it.
Yes.
So basically, you don't know the story, though.
Exactly.
No, yeah, so it's all you're going to blind.
From a listener's point of view, any story you're listening to is being explained. It's basically me explaining to an idiot. And then vice versa.
Idiot reacts.
Yeah, idiot reacts.
I like it.
Sometimes an idiot explains something to him.
I like that. So, for example, I could do the history of Carlo, and without telling you, and I go, right, the history of Carlo. I do the history of Carlo.
Yeah.
God created Carlo. God regretted it. God then killed himself.
Made a great motor.
You know what I mean? So, and then you do that in a live format as well.
Yeah. Yes.
So how does the format work when you're doing your live show in the Sunflower
on the 3rd of March?
Friday the 3rd of March. Tickets are available, lads. Fair play to you.
Yeah.
So give me an example of the live show, what you'll do in the live show.
So we did, I think you probably know Jordan Robinson.
I know Jordan, yeah.
Yeah, very nice comic.
Jordan on to talk about Edward Carson.
Yes.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, we did that
here we go. Edward Carson.
We were very brave to come up and do the first one.
Well, there's not, because, I mean, there's a lot of topics you could go into that are probably, it's too soon. Edward Carson, 100 years ago, we felt that was the dust to settle.
Yeah. That was safe to bring that up.
And it wasn't really.
No, it wasn't.
Not.
It was grand.
It was grand.
Well, Edward Carson was from Dublin, wasn't he?
He was. He was a big dub, and he loved unionism so much he came to the home of unionism. Well, he wanted Ireland to stay in the union as a whole, and he fought for that the whole way. And then, like, after partition, he saw it was a losing battle, and I suppose he moved to Northern Ireland and became the new Northern Ireland and became the face of unionism. But one of the funniest facts that we came up with, or found out during that, is like Northern Ireland wasn't called Northern Ireland initially, and even the unionists didn't want that name because it implies, you're north of something. You're not, you need you got Wales, Scotland, England, Ireland.
Yeah, you don't want to be just like a you don't want Macedonia. Like
exactly,
you're not Macedonia. You're just a little piece at the top.
You don't want a qualifier. So they actually didn't have a name for the 6 counties initially.
Mad
one
bastards.
Of the names, mad bastard. One of the names floated around initially was Carsonia, named after the big man himself, and that would have been.
So Northern Ireland could have been called Carsonia.
Could have been Carsonia.
Do you know what? That's got a ring
it's
of
not
fucking
late.
Las Vegas, tax-free.
Yeah, come down Carsonia.
Drugs.
Yeah.
Where are you going on the weekend? Carsonia, mate.
Carsonia.
Where are you going then? I'll be for mate. Monaco. Carsonia. What are you doing up there? Well, you know me, mate.
Gambling capital.
Gotta be fucking
Carsonia's not
burning pallets. Burning pallets with the lads.
Yeah, Viva Carsonia. Imagine the ultimate.
Can you imagine this place, Northern Ireland, being called Carsonia?
Yeah. You had to go for a Carsonia for a lads' weekend, and that's you could sell that.
Carlingford, Carsonia. Which one do you want?
That's
So tell me how. So this Edward Carson guy, he's from Dublin.
Yeah.
Partition happens. He's like, the Republic ain't my people.
Yeah.
I'm going up the north. They don't have a name. They want thinking about Carsonia. What happens next?
The end of the story is that he's outside Stormont. There's a giant statue of him.
I've seen it.
Yeah,
But no one, no one works up there these days. So.
No, well, did it win? I think it almost got the record for being the longest, out of where the Parliament wasn't in session, basically.
Right.
But they got a good couple of years run there of no one actually working.
Yeah.
Which is good. Hopefully, we'll beat that again someday.
Yeah. Would you call somebody now, is this the phrase West Brit, for a Southern Irish Protestant that still lives in the South? Is that a common phrase?
You can still say it and it'll get quite a reaction on stage in Dublin. People still know what it means.
Is it an offensive term?
Depends who's taking offence.
Yeah. I think it's usually thrown... I don't know.
There's a load of them in West Cork.
There is. Well, West
Cork seems to have a lot of West Brits, doesn't
West Cork's full of hippies.
Hippies and British.
Yeah, British hippies.
Do you know there's 282,000 British-born nationals that live on the island of Ireland? They're our biggest minority.
The way you said that, it sounds like you were keeping tracks on all of them.
Oh, yeah.
You've got the ticker.
It's just like,
2,880, 2,174.
You can't see on screen there, but there's a big counter.
They're all on a tag.
Yeah,
they have to check in every day with the local guards.
Yeah.
But they're all grand. They don't fucking complain about living in Ireland, do they?
No,
they're all in West Cork.
But a lot of them are in West Cork. And fair play to them.
Because that was the Sophie Desconda Plantier podcast about the woman who was murdered, the French woman years ago. I remember listening to. I used to live over in Texas when you were talking about El Paso, like the Mexicans. It's like we're very different, lads. Like I've been to El Paso. Dundalk is not El Paso.
Well, maybe not anymore, but
I remember listening to that podcast and like it's probably about 15 minutes in before you hear an Irish accent.
Yeah. Well, when I was living in Skibbereen, I always felt very, when my mum was, I just love the Queen. But the thing is,
the wind's down here. The Irish, it's quite, it's night time. It's
the Irish
scary.
are different. You know what I mean? They're different. You know what I mean? I've your course and I love them, mate.
When I heard some bird got murdered, I was like, and then I heard you were French, and then
in all my years in this country, I ain't ever seen anything like it.
The Irish, I tell you, they're fucking men. They need to go back to England. So, Northern Ireland. Tell me about Northern Ireland becoming Northern Ireland then.
Well, that's 100. There's no big celebration for that anniversary of the year, or what? I don't think people really.
Years ago, no, there wasn't. No,
it's a touchy subject still. I think.
Well, do you know what? I will say this.
Yeah.
There's one unionist politician that I really respect. It's a guy called Nesbitt, Mike Nesbitt. He's the UUP. He's in the UUP, and he was on a BBC NI show with Fintan O'Toole. It's Fintan O'Toole.
Yes.
Who I really like, Fintan.
I think we're having him on in a few weeks.
Don't say that. You'll jinx it.
It'll be out by the time this
Fintan,
podcast is done.
And they were talking about this to celebrate the centenary of Northern Ireland, and obviously it's very complicated up here. But he was saying, why don't we celebrate our sports people, our musicians, our playwrights, our tourism? We don't have to celebrate Irish flag versus British flag.
Yeah.
We can celebrate our boxing people.
True.
You know what I mean? Let's celebrate our successes on an international stage, music, arts, literature, boxing, sport, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a fantastic way of celebrating the centenary of this part of the island, you know, without having to bring it orange, very green. And I thought, you know what, I quite like Mr. Nesbitt. I've seen him on the Oxford Union do a talk, and he seems a very level-headed man and a very sort of like, look, you know, that's somebody who he doesn't engage with podcasts, by the way, because I did try to get him on.
That's good for any.
But I actually really like him, and I think he's a very nice. He comes across really well, and he's a unionist person that, for somebody who's not a unionist, I really like. Because I think he's got a fucking brain.
Well, I was reading about Eddie Irvine, the
Formula One guy.
Yeah, he tried to. He tried to be non-denominational.
Yeah, a lot of them do here when they get fame, because they don't want to piss anyone off.
Was McGuigan like that? Did he wear the Irish flag? No, he did wear the Irish flag, did he? When Barry McGuigan won.
I can't really remember. Tiernan, could you Google and see if Barry McGuigan put up the Irish flag? Because I know Rory McIlroy's had issues in terms of representing GB or Ireland in the Olympics, and he just went, you know what, I'm just pulling out. Because there's no right or wrong answer, is there? Like, for these people who are born like I know people in the north who have a nationalist mother and a unionist father.
Yeah, and who do you support then? And it's sport's supposed to be the great equalizer. You know, it's about driving a car really, really fast or hitting a small ball very, very far. It doesn't matter where it's from. It matters about beating the other guy.
Although, was it you telling me the other week that the biggest posts on like Or Ireland, like the subreddit, and like the history of all of that are the flags of the nations who've beaten England? It's like Croatia.
Like if you filter on all, you know, the highest voted things on all time, I think in the top 10, 6 or 7 of them are teams that have beaten England in the Euros, the World Cup. Which, I mean, we haven't got time to go into the psyche of an Irishman.
But the reason for that is it's not because, like, I really like England and I like English people, but it's just when it comes to sport, like, England want to beat Ireland and we want to beat them as well.
England don't want to beat Ireland. England are like, they want to beat France and other countries that they don't even know we're here.
Really?
In rugby, yes, okay, it's different, but like
in soccer,
they think that we're still Team GB. Like, they don't.
Really? It's just keep an eye on them every few years. They might get a player who's actually born in England. We'll take them back, and
we've had to give them back Declan Rice and Jack Grealish recently.
Exactly, but I don't think in the lead up to the World Cup there in Qatar they weren't exactly plans like, how are we going to deal with the Irish squad? Like, that's not high up in the list of things.
But they will know when it comes to the Rugby World Cup if we get to play them in that. Has Barry McGuigan? So what's Barry McGuigan's status?
So he actually
is he going to be up on the list
under the United Nations flag?
Nice.
Oh, for fuck! That's another cat pot. Oh, for fuck's sake! The United Nations flag. Move. That's a good move, isn't it? I love how like he goes. Who you represent? Just a lot of other countries.
Everybody
that will come together and fight against another. But you're from the Isle of Ireland. I can't represent anyone in Ireland because it's too complicated. Imagine a boxer being afraid to pick a side.
He has actually said that he boxes under the United Nations flag because it's a sign of peace, and that he doesn't want controversy between the Union flag and the Irish tricolour.
That's good. That's a good move.
Well done. Yeah. I might start,
running
around the United Nations flag. I might put up a UN flag up here, like, and just be like, this is a United Nations podcast cross community here in the north of Ireland.
What was that viral clip going around a while ago? Some guy gets stopped with a vox pop in England or something, and they're like, "Where are you from?" He said, "My passport says Ireland, but I like to think I'm from the moment." Oh. What if... Now, there's an answer. That man, I'm sure, has been slagged mercilessly whenever he got back to wherever he was from.
Yeah, like, that's a guy that's like, that sounded good in your head at the time.
Oh, yeah.
But also... quite so cheesy, but also ballsy.
That's the sort of thing you say at a festival when someone puts a mic in your face and you're like, no one will ever hear this.
I've had 7 cans of cider.
But that's the only time to get Irish people to talk. I used to have to do that as a job, like Vox Pop people.
Did you?
And just working in radio and stuff. Irish people are the worst in the world for wanting to like, even just, there's no cameras, it's just audio. They fucking shy away. An American on the street runs up as soon as they see a camera. They want to be part of it. They're like, get Brad Pitt out of that fucking set. I can take the main role.
Yeah. That's mad. What kind of questions would you have asked the Irish people?
There was a few.
How's your ma? Is your dad working?
I don't. Well,
That's a very common Irish phrase.
I remember I was doing one.
Your mother all right for turf?
I was doing one years ago about the Irish rap scene, and had to go up to Ballybun to do it.
The Irish rap scene.
I'd never seen. you couldn't be told to fuck off more as quickly or as readily.
I should have made all the fuck off into a rap. Fuck off. Fuck off, get the fuck. You know
but usually, because it's like a lot of the time it's just after either like a sporting event, and it's like on the way in, everyone's like fucking fine fettled, they've had a couple of beers, and on the way out, it's either pure misery or just like drunken elation. Usually after the rugby as well, actually. That's great.
That's mad, that's really good. Do you guys think that you struck it lucky with your podcast because this island, the history, I mean, I did history right up to Leaving Cert, but as a lot of us probably did.
That's all we did as well.
So like, you know, I know everything, not know everything. I know Ireland 1890, William Gladstone, Isaac Butt.
I was going to say, you know, 4 essays back to front.
All the way, those guys, right up to the Act of Union, and then, you know, the classics that we all know.
Yeah.
You know, the Easter Rising in 1916, the Free State, the Civil War, then you have the formation of the state, and the Republic was declared in 1949, wasn't it? Was it
1937, I think it was.
Yeah,
1936.
Give or take a few years.
Ballpark.
Yeah. Well, I think it's...
What was 49 then? 49 was a big thing for Ireland.
It was on the 50th anniversary of... well, in 37, I think is when they took the last reference to the swearing an oath of allegiance out of the Constitution.
Oh, right, to the British.
But it's a slow... We did that... I don't know why I'm putting dates on this now. I'm putting myself under pressure. But we did that before under the Costello government. There's 3 kind of big scandals that moved the country forward. But he announced that Ireland was a republic when he was
drunk.
Now, I didn't say that, but he's
like, you know what we should do to Ireland? Fucking Viva Republic!
Well, if we say it, we can wish it into existence.
Something happened in 1949 that sticks in my head.
Something happened every year.
That's right.
There's too much.
1949, it might have been because this is when he was over in Canada. He was at some event, and there was an old British general there, and the story was that he had pointed a cannon at him that was the same sort of type of cannon that was used in the siege of Derry, and he got his back up, and he had a few pints, and then he went out to a press conference the next day and said, "You know what? Ireland's a republic."
The next day, like hungover.
Well,
it did happen in 1949.
There you go. The Ireland Act.
Yeah,
I knew. I fucking knew this, right? So the Ireland Act of 1949 declared that the country, known in British law's era, ceased to be part of His Majesty's dominions, i.e. a member of the Commonwealth.
Yes.
On 18th of April 1949, the date that the Irish Republic of Ireland, the Republic of Ireland Act 1948 came into force. So that's, in my head, that was when the Republic was formed in 1949. We celebrated 100 years, but that was 100 years of the Free State, including the Free State as well.
And then, but
the Free State was still under British colony.
The Free State was still, so this is in 1949, then leaving the Commonwealth.
Yeah.
But then that's why, because
So they're all leaving now, anyway.
Well, yeah, who's Bermuda or Barbados?
Jesus! I mean, imagine being the last one there, thinking,
I know.
Fuck it.
Yeah. Although we've a fair few listeners in Bermuda. I don't know if we just have like Irish lads over in a tax haven or what's going on.
They're like just piling turf. Like.
Yeah. But countries all around the world have the day that they leave their Independence Day, but we don't really have that because there's no kind of one day.
We don't have a 4th of July, basically.
We don't have a 4th of July. Well, firstly, because it's not.
It's 17th of September, March, isn't it? 17th of March.
We've got our own celebration
day, isn't it?
Yeah, but I suppose if everyone around the world has it, it's not quite the same. You should have like your own independence.
What would be a good day for Independence? All Ireland hurling final Sunday?
All Ireland, yeah. What? It's Bridget's Day.
Or every day we play England in the Six Nations.
Yeah, the day after St. Patrick's Day, that's Independence Day.
Everyone's waking up fucked.
We need a good summer holiday, because if we have Paddy's Day for March, Halloween, Christmas, that's all grand.
Easter.
You need something there in June or July.
Just to
what have we got in June and July?
Bank holiday weekend.
Electric picnic, or is that something?
No, I don't know. I'm trying to think what would be good for us. But this island, though, is brilliant for you guys, isn't it? Because in terms of the wealth of material that you can get, because if you just the history is so interesting, complicated, and also seems quite recent. In terms of the birth of the state.
Yeah, he says that he went back a couple of 100 years and did a 5-part episode on the history of the Orange Order. Yeah. And just like, that fucking stretches far too far back. Like, I like to think the name of it in Shitetalk history. I'm like, yeah, Wikipedia research, whatever's in the last like 50 years, I'll be 50 to 70 years. But I suppose you go through, but
you've done stuff from like the year 500.
Yeah, but that's usually when it's involved in like sports or wrestling or something mad.
Yeah.
I leave the serious ones up to him, and I'm like, the Roy Keane Saipan special.
Jesus, don't get me started.
We just did that there in December. Yeah.
Oh man, that to me, I'll never forget that. I'll never forget that. To me, that was my De Valera Collins situation.
He's been
the Second Civil War. It was the Second Civil War.
He doesn't follow sports at all, so like, everyone's been having that reaction, and he had no idea what he was getting himself into.
But even there a minute ago, we were like, when would the Irish independence, birth of the Free State, different bits, and then you start talking about Roy Keane, you're like, this is no longer a comedy matter. This is the real. Yeah.
What happened to this country was a disgrace.
It's outrageous.
DHL let us down.
Families were broken apart.
Brothers against brothers. It was.
Oh, I can't go into it. I can't.
It's just split between lounges and bars.
But you know what? It shows you a sign of progress when we have the Second Civil War over sport, and there's nobody gets hurt and there's no guns involved. That's why I always think about the North up here. Sometimes when you hear on the news that somebody has been caught on TikTok singing a Ra song, which they shouldn't be doing, and vice versa on the other side as well. I think, you know what, if that's what they're upset about today, it's a lot better than throwing fucking petrol bombs into people's houses.
True.
So that shows you progress. Now, still a long way to go, but my point is, at least it's something.
Yeah.
What story from Ireland's history?
I'm just really hoping those TikToks would be singing those songs.
What story from Irish history does stand out to you at the moment? That, like, something that our listeners may not know, or something that you kind of go, did you know this happened in 1601 or something like that? What? Give me is there something that you kind of go, did you know this happened on the island of Ireland?
Well, the one I'm obsessed with at the minute, because we're about to do it soon, I've just been reading about him for the last couple of weeks, is Roger Casement.
So Casement Park is up here, isn't it? Named after him, the GA guy.
The GA, yeah. So he was one of the 1916 revolutionaries.
Okay,
executed in 1916.
God forbid.
Yeah, he was massively gay. Like, and I remember growing up and I'd heard this story. So
it's confirmed.
I'll tell you in a second. So
because I don't want the Casement family contacting Corgan. Listen,
I'll tell you this.
He was not touching dick.
Yeah, he was so gay he didn't have a family. So we'll put it there. But no, so the story I'd heard growing up is that so like in 1916 he goes on trial afterwards. He's one of the last executed because before that he was Sir Roger Casement. He was a humanitarian. He was he'd helped stop the rubber trade in the Congo, helped stop the rubber trade in South America. He was a worldwide known. So they were having a hard time killing him.
He was a good man.
He was a good man.
So
the story I'd heard growing up is that the British forged these diaries to make him sound gay so that they'd be easier to execute him as, like, you know, depraved for the time. But now, 100 years on, you can go back and read the diaries. I've been listening to a lot of podcasts from gay producers, and they're like, no one could have forged these because they're so gay that some British court...
Give me some gayness.
He recorded every sexual encounter he had in the Congo and recorded the length...
We all do that, lads.
He recorded the length of each penis that he encountered with such detail that some sort of fuddy-duddy backroom clerk trying to put a man down wouldn't have had.
But what if the backroom clerk was super gay?
Well...
Or straight and just like, see, I said 5 inches, that is average. That's perfectly average.
4.5 inch penis.
So, you believe he was gay?
I think it's very... Everything I've read in the last 10 years is like, oh yeah, it was insane that for 80 years... Because I'm growing up, you're like, the dastardly British made him out to be gay. How could they do such a... It just turns out he was massively gay. And fantastic. Like, he was one of the most... he did so much great work, like, against the whole stuff with the rubber trade and, like, the Belgian colonies and stuff. He blew that wide open, did extremely great work for humanitarian efforts there. And then smuggled guns into Dublin, and then he should be one of the biggest gay icons in the world.
What a life!
It's an insane life, and
you've left out all the bit with the Nazis.
And well, yeah, it's an insane
bit
story.
of a big bit there, right?
Yeah, exactly. There's so much stuff going on.
So was he helping the Nazis or something?
Yeah. Well, he was.
And on the
helping the Nazis.
Well, you know what all those gay lads were like.
He was, what is a Nazi really? Well, no, he was. He was
just someone misunderstood.
Everyone's a Nazi these days.
Can we
It's
just
so
say,
loose with the term.
Roger Casement was a great man. Did
Yes.
great things. Not too sure what he did with the Nazis. Nazis bad.
Well, he
Bad.
did
Very bad.
He was executed, 20, 30 years before the Nazi Party came into power. So he was clear there. He was in Germany trying to source weapons, but it was a different world war. It was a different time.
Yeah, but the Nazis didn't really come to the fore till this.
No, like yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The 30s. He was long dead. He's a great alibi for that.
Yeah.
But he's
Where were you in 1945? Dead.
dead. Your Honor, I'm off the hook on that one.
I was dead.
Yeah.
Dead with 2 dickies.
Yeah. So, like...
So, Casement is a good man.
a great man, I'd say.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter whether he's gay or not, really.
But as in, just, like, especially... in
Both
the
people
South.
trying to control the narrative, though, isn't it?
Yeah, but it seems crazy that his mural isn't on every fucking wall on the set. Like, during the whole marriage referendum, that's... would have put the whole thing to bed. The gay marriage referendum in the South is like, yeah, what about one of the most famous patriotic men that ever walked in this country, loved giant dick? Put that on the wall. Put that on the poster. The whole thing's put to bed.
Why do you think stuff like that gets ignored?
Because people in the 1920s weren't ready to wrap their head around the idea that one of their national figures was gay and also a patriot, I suppose. And
I suppose different times, isn't it?
Different times.
But even then, the amount of like regular stories that wouldn't be like as culturally important as that just get lost throughout the years. Being like, I mainly do a lot of sports episodes on the show, or like just different random occurrences like throughout history that like aren't necessarily important, but shit, it's stuff that we should all fucking know.
Yeah.
But even like the idea of with the Dublin whiskey fire.
Yeah.
Like that's something that no one talks about. Like the whole fucking like the streets of Dublin were like 6 inches of whiskey. Like 50 lads die because they fucking just drop down to their knees and start drinking it. Like, we don't talk about that anymore. It's just lost over the years.
That's just a night out in Carling.
Yeah. It's well, there's so much stuff, I suppose. Yeah, Irish history, you kind of focus on 1916 to 22ish, and then we weren't in any of the world wars, so you don't really talk about that too much. And everything before it is kind of forgotten. I don't know. You spend an awful lot of time looking at American stuff and English stuff, and you kind of forget that we've one of the biggest diasporas in the world. We've gone all over the place and done all sorts of cool stuff.
So are you looking at history of Irish people as well outside of Ireland as well?
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
I think
God, if you stuck to the Irish history people here, there'd be nothing to be at. But no, but like a lot of famous people have left and done weird things.
What Irish people have left that I may not know about, that have gone off and done things in the past that are very proud Irish people that like build. You know the way you hear stories about like
Your man who made the White House. was
Okay,
Irish.
you hear about like Irish people built fucking America or they built England.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like stuff. There must be great Irish people and great traditions.
There's hundreds. Yeah, your man who built the White House. Sure, he's
Yeah.
Irish. Your man,
The man who burnt down the White House also
was
Irish.
Irish. It was the same guy, just didn't get paid.
Yeah. Well, actually, he's not far from Coburn. What the hell? Coburn. His name is Cockburn. COCK.
It was Coburn.
It's
yeah.
Coburn.
Yeah.
Yeah. But there's a giant monument to him. If you're going... Oh, yeah, Ross Trevor was his name. So if you're going from Carniford out to Ross Trevor,
Yeah.
did you ever see that giant obelisk out by the coast?
I know Ross Trevor. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a huge obelisk on the way out. And I always thought it was funny because, if the Americans are going around to tour the old country, and what's this big obelisk? We'll pull over and see what this is about. It's a monument to the man who burnt down the White House back in a good.
But that's the
Northern
thing about
Irish
Ireland.
patriot.
Sometimes is some Irish people are really, really well known for doing really bad things. But look, at least we have something.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Even down in the Alamo, I was down there the other year, and there's like 5 or 6 lads, maybe more, who were part. Like, there's only 50 odd people in the Alamo at the time. It was like 10% or more of them were Irish, and we don't ever talk about them.
Yeah.
And then it turns out that way more on the Mexican side are Irish because they were Catholic. And like all the lads went down there. We were like, we've like 7 lads inside the Alamo. They're the bad ones, seemingly. There's like, they had hundreds of lads down in Mexico just getting burnt to a cinder.
That is absolutely mental.
But in terms of military people, we went all over the place, all over Europe, were involved in all the big wars at the time. I'm trying to, but there's a funnier story about, what was your man's name, the Cork fella, the master prankster.
Oh yeah,
Mike
Merry
Murphy.
Prankster.
Mike Murphy? No, he
sorry.
was the Cork yeah.
That
You was the Mike Murphy, the television.
was the RT.
Yeah,
Sorry.
the RT
When you
fella.
say Cork, I thought it was Mike Murphy. Was it?
No, there was he was, what the hell was his name?
Michael Collins.
Michael Collins. A young Mick Collins.
The biggest reveal ever.
Yeah.
We'll never get to the end of that, will we? With him?
He's in Argentina.
Mike Collins.
Yeah, because we all know, he's in Argentina, and the Queen's not dead either. You know what I mean? Like the conspiracies.
I'm only half remembering this story now, but he was one of your countrymen. He was famous for being it's a merry prankster, and there's some giant British military ship that was being unveiled. And now, I don't condone this, but he dressed up in blackface and pretended to be ambassador from a made-up African country, and they got a tour of the ship. But this was back in, I don't know, the 1920s, 30s, and it was like when they got out, they could show around all these like high-grade military cannons and stuff, and they were all just like, they were all just dressed in blackface walking around.
Talking gibberish just to each other.
Virginia Woolf was one of the people involved in it. That's his mad story. And then when they got out, they like released it to the newspapers, and it was, the talk of the world that they'd pulled this prank on the British. But they whatever the ship was, it was the equivalent of getting into like Area 51 now and seeing the newest TIE fighter jet. And they were showing it as I can't remember where they said they were
What's
from.
this fucking Area 51 in America?
Yeah. Well, that's it. We need to dress up in blackface and go find out. That's a terrible idea.
Like, I find
they won't let you in. I was in Roswell doing the Alien tour, and that's a bit shite as well. But like, I think Area 51 is where they actually have the secrets. He doesn't really believe in them.
Area 53 is where they have the secrets. Area 51
so we wouldn't know
that to distract us.
We shouldn't know the name of the place where they keep the stuff.
Yeah.
Well, they're putting you on a different sense.
Exactly. Yeah.
Do you think there's massive hidden secrets in Irish history that will never be released? Do we have, like, the way there's papers where the public cannot know about this? Do you think there's stuff that's happened in Irish history that we're like, the IRA was actually funded by the Queen, or something like that. Is there something that we don't know?
The R stood for Royal all along. It was there.
Yeah, the Irish Republican Royal.
God, that well, I don't know. Roger and Dennis, they're Core Comics. They have a conspiracy.
Oh, Roger
podcast.
and Dennis. Of course, they're not there.
Yeah. That's not their second names, but it's just they get Roger and Dennis as a unit. But they have a conspiracy podcast, and I've been interested in trying to find. There's no real good. There's no what's our version of who shot JFK? You know what I mean?
Lone gunman.
Michael Collins, I suppose.
Michael Collins.
Lee Harvey Oswald.
Lee Harvey Oswald shot.
Job done.
Shot Michael Collins.
Wasn't he killed because of the unions in America?
But there's so many theories and so many interesting things. And
I've watched the film The Irishman. It's 3 hours, something to do with the unions.
The unions, Jimmy Hoffa killed them. I watched Oliver Stone's JFK film. But
these are the things people will get on some sort of a conspiracy theory. You hear people now well, I spoke to a structural engineer.
Yeah,
and there's no way the Twin Towers could have went down. Yeah. Well, you know what? I spoke to an iceberg expert, and there's no way the Titanic should have gone down.
Yeah. Well, I did the JFK tour, and it's great because if you look it up online, there are proper tours. Lads will bring you around. There's some TripAdvisor review said, don't go to any of them. There's a lad who's walking around selling postcards. He'll bring you on the real tour. He'll show you the other side of the grassy knoll.
This is just fucking delusion.
I shot him twice. It was me at the grassy knoll.
I think he was to say it was Woody Harrelson's dad.
Yeah,
that's the big one because he was a hitman who was around. He was like a convicted hitman who was in the area at the time, and people spotted him there. They're like, could just be coincidence or Woody Harrelson's dad.
They went for Lee Harvey Oswald, didn't they?
Yeah.
He was a patsy. His last words were, "I'm a patsy."
What's that mean?
He was a plant. I'm a stooge. I'm a pigeon. Someone set me up. Those are great last words. If I'm ever getting executed, the last thing
that leads conspiracy so open.
Why? That just kicked into the stratosphere.
That sends a conspiracy from like a B+ to like an A.
But
the one guy they think they did it walks out like he's in police custody, and some lad runs up behind him and he's about to shoot him. He's like, "I'm a patsy." And
Jack Ruby shot him, and then I think is Jack Ruby dead in prison, and then Jack Ruby's connected to the mob. But so we just went and touched on about 100 conspiracies there based off one thing. But there's no I think you all know who killed Mike Collins down in Cork. You just don't.
You're just not telling us.
It's a secret. But if you go into a pub,
it was Roy No, it was just
this one's for
Michael Collins was travelling down, and De Valera knew he was going down, and they had a fucking anti-treaty army lads with guns and stuff, and they said he might be passing through here, so a couple of lads with guns just shot him.
Yeah,
I don't think there was any particular. I think it was just a normal foot soldier.
Now put your tinfoil hat on.
You gotta get in. The best conspiracy theory I heard was that it was one of his own men, friendly fire. There's a fella shot a bullet, it hit off the wall, came back, killed Collins.
Well, I wasn't there.
Well, there was a man called
so
Ricochet.
I can't really comment on it. I wasn't there at the time.
That was a great joke now that just got a great setup.
So I said that again. Sorry.
There was a man called Ricochet
Ricochet.
Friendly fire, bullet came back and hit him with the thing.
Oh, Ricochet.
He loves this joke.
It's a joke I heard about.
Do you know what? We're going to clip that bit and put out the final. Talk about brum bum.
Start it again.
Tumbleweed.
Yeah.
Do you know what it was? As you were talking, in my head, I just went, I need something funny to come in with.
Yeah.
And I probably missed a couple of words.
The key.
That's the comic in you, like. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So how did you meet?
Doing stand-up a few years ago.
And where does your love of the history kind of come in?
We needed you know how everyone needs a podcast? All comedians need podcasts.
Yes.
And it is the classic though. Do you remember it just happened all of a sudden a few years ago?
Yeah.
We were just fucking, it must have been like Joe Rogan and that over in America, and everyone's like, you need to have a podcast. Even if you only have 10 fans, everyone needs to have a podcast.
There's room for everybody, lads.
Yeah.
There is.
Not anymore, there's too many of them. Some of them should feck off.
Sick of white men.
Yeah, talking to other white men about comedy.
Classic. Well, we were both touching. No, we would have been like 28 then. I don't know.
You just said a sentence that we were both touching.
We were both touching.
I just went, what the fuck are you doing? You're like, come over here. My nickname's Casement. My nickname's Casement.
That stuff's only for the Patreon.
Yeah.
The Patreon. Yeah,
it's the same episodes, but we're just topless.
So you met basically just doing stand-up in Dublin?
Yes.
Because you're from Dundalk.
I'm from Dundalk.
You're from Carlow.
Yeah.
And where in Dundalk are you from? Because my mum's from Dundalk.
Yeah, I only say Dundalk to impress people. I'm actually from like Darver or Miskin.
Don't even know where that is.
Exactly, yeah. Dundalk, you know, it's bad when you're like, I'm from the big town of Dundalk.
Yeah, from Dundalk. I'm away now.
I'm away now, so I am.
Here now, no bother. So
from about 15 minutes outside Dundalk, out by Knockbridge.
Fair play.
I'm away into the Midlands.
No bother. I'm away. It's on the town.
Yeah.
So you met in Dublin?
Yeah.
So just doing like gigs?
Just doing gigs, yeah. And then, that's what I feel when you get into your late 20s, you suddenly start, you start thinking about Irish history more.
I feel more Irish than I've ever felt.
Yeah, you kind of ignore that.
No, yeah.
Because
I'm back living on the island.
That's what it is.
Love it. I love being Irish.
I was the opposite.
I think you double down when you're here.
When I was living away, I was in Texas for like 4 years, so I became way more Irish when I was over there.
You're currency.
Yeah.
You're a currency.
Yeah.
Oh my God, he's proper.
Yeah, I was just like, I'm just wearing paddy hats. I need a collection of 20.
Was there like women in Texas like, I want to marry my Irish guy?
Yeah, I still have her.
Yeah. Are you with a Texan?
Still with a Texan, yeah.
And is she over here now?
She's over visiting at the minute. She landed in on Saturday. Gone.
Is she? And so
and he's up here doing this.
Yeah, I'm a very committed comedian. If I could be that committed as a boyfriend.
What did you say to her?
I was like, in fairness, she's working, so I was like, I'm only missing.
Is she in the work from home kind of thing?
Yeah. So it's kind of one of that classic things. She just didn't tell them that she's gone, so she'll start working at 1 and finish at 9.
So tell me, how does the relationship work then?
It's tough.
So how long have you been together?
A year and a half, I'd say, maybe 2 years.
And how long have you been long distance now?
Oh, because we had a year together, and it's been about just over a year long distance.
And so somebody's going to have to make a decision, really.
I know, eventually is the thing, and especially because I'm kind of banned from the States. I'm not like allowed back in. That's
why.
Do you know when they say that thing about like don't overstay the visa because it'll be very bad? They're not lying. They're not yeah. And when they're like,
serious?
When they're like, by a day or two, it doesn't matter. It's like specifically 6 months is way too long.
But you know what I would do there? I'd go up if there was like an American border patrol guy goes, "You've overstayed. You're banned. Come here. I know, Joe.
Yeah,
listen, we're Irish. Fuck. Like, do you know where he's living? I know the fella that built that. Right. Listen, 2 days. It was a long weekend. We had a few pints. I forgot about the flight. But you're supposed to come here now.
Come here.
We've all done it. You know, like you do the whole Irish thing. We've all been there.
But you have a good chance of running into an Irish cop over there. He's some lad who's like 5th or 6th generation Irish.
Yeah.
So as soon as he hears the accent, he's like, "You can do whatever you want. Have a go with my gun. Go on, why not?"
Yeah.
That's the young lad version of like, let me speak to the managers. Where's the Irish guy?
Yeah. Does anyone here's name start with O?
Where's the O'Maras? Get him out of here.
I remember when I was sick in Switzerland. And I went into hospital in Switzerland in Lausanne, and I remember this thing. They wanted 500 francs on my credit card before they even look at me because Switzerland is different. It's EEA, and I just remember just thinking to myself, "We're in a hospital in Switzerland. Is Siobhan in?
Yeah.
Would Donald be working by any chance? There must be one of them. Like, is Breda in and all today?
Just keep.
What about Neve?
Nah.
Give me 2 minutes with an Irish girl. There must be a physio from Galway here.
Yeah.
Like there must be. Like I remember flying to New York.
But then see, they don't want any part of you then, because then they know you're Irish and you're too good at
here
crack.
we go. Like
they're
like the Irish abroad. Then, like, you know.
Yeah, but
I
remember into an Irish girl. I think she might have been from Cork or Kerry in New Orleans, and she was like working at the front of the hostel. I was like, "Sure, come on, you may come out. There's never any Irish down." She's like, "I specifically don't go out when the Irish are in town." She's like, "The Americans won't be able to handle it." So like, gets to 2 or 3 o'clock, they'll go home. The Irish lads are like, I'm only in New Orleans once, so fuck it, 8 a.m.
So they realise the tourists are there for the long bender, like.
Yeah. But that poor doctor, and there's probably some poor doctor in the Swiss hospital, and she's been working for years to try and get rid of the negative stereotype. And you come in, you're like, where's Mary? Come here. I fell down the slopes drinking. It said Black Diamond, but I said, sure, I'll take any man on.
How's your uncle? How's your mother? How's your man? Your dad working? Is he?
Is he alright? Shit, this is exactly what I've been I've been telling the Swiss for years. We're not like this.
What's the story with the morphines? That's on the house. That's just one for the buddies.
It's on the VHI, is it? Are you going here? I'll send you over some potatoes. So you met doing the comedy, and then you obviously you both obviously have an interest in history, and you went to Texas. Did you meet before you went to Texas?
So we were doing the podcast remote there for about
the pandemic
2 years.
Did you have to overstay because of the pandemic?
I didn't have to, but that's one of the reasons I did.
So is that because you're putting that down? Like, so your missus, if the relationship is going to stay, she's going to have to come here.
Probably, yeah. I think I'll be allowed in at some point eventually.
But if you marry her,
he's on high alert because he's been over there a good few times. He's like, young man, no job in Ireland, missus in America, coming over for a weekend visa.
Yeah, because I've gone over a good few times. I went over and stayed with my brothers in St. Louis for on his couch for 3 months just doing stand up. And I was trying to get in there at that time, hadn't worked for 6 months, had no ties to the country to come back.
What's the security conversation like?
That was in an hour and a half. They pulled all my bags off the plane and then they brought me to the back room and went through my phone. They went through my fucking Tinder. And they were like, as if that was going to be, I'm not going to go over and get married to a girl from Tinder I haven't met before.
So this is the thing you see on telly, isn't it?
Yeah, and they went back and they went through every social media app I had. They were asking me questions, just trying to catch me out. The same question again, phrased slightly differently, just to see if you catch it. At one point, the very last thing they did is the Hail Mary. They pulled my comedy notebook out of the thing and just let me just read this and see if is there anything racist in here we can catch him on. There's but no, just you get through and it took about an hour and a half. I got through with 10 minutes left. Just about got to the gate in time. So this
in Dublin?
That was in Dublin, yeah.
Because they do pre-screening.
Yeah, you're grand coming back the other way, and thankfully they do it because you don't want to land over to America.
Quite happy to get you out.
Yeah, but no, because that was rough. An hour and a half. You're sweating.
Why were you scanned?
Well, because I had been over. I hadn't overstayed the first visa, but then I guess coming back, they're just you have no ties to Ireland in terms of a job or an apartment that you're legally paying rent on or a car or anything. So I was I'm just going over for 3 months to do what? I was to not be paid doing stand-up comedy and sleep on my brother's couch. They're you're a fucking joke.
But you're entitled to 90 days, aren't you?
90 days, yeah. So that's why you take 85 of them just to be safe.
Yeah, and become whole early. Save those 5 days.
You go for 85 days, you come back, you spend, then you go back over again for another 90.
Yeah, leave it another 6 months and then go back over again. So it's not so bad. But then eventually you overstay and then you're fucked for... Sure, we'll see. It could be...
So your class is an overstayer now?
Kind of. We'll see.
What do you mean, kind of?
So I thought it was good. Probably stupid in the long run. I put in an extension application when there was 2 days left to do it, and you could have done that at any time. But I was specifically, I'll do it at the very last opportunity, so I get to stay for as long as possible. And then I asked for 180 days, and I left after 175. And then I found out the other week that actually got rejected, so I wasn't technically allowed to stay. So I'm somewhere in between legal and illegal. That I had a legal application in that got rejected, but I was illegal in the country all of that time. So it's really up to the letter of the law, I guess, or whatever people say.
Just because an application doesn't mean you can still stay.
Yeah. No, but I think I was kind of hoping because I'm already in the country and that application's in.
It's pending. Yeah. You wouldn't want to go home and then find out you could stay. Should we waste the flight?
Okay, so I've flown from Dublin to New York, right? And I remember going in through security, then down to American security, and I went up to the guy at the desk, and he went, "Purpose of your visit?" And I went, "Oh, holiday." And he looked at it, he saw my return flight a week later.
Yeah.
And he went, I was first he goes, "What do you got? Have you got more than $10,000 on you?" I was no, me manzo. Mm-hmm. I was I've got me manzo. And he could see, look at me, he was oh, this guy's just a fucking tourist.
Yeah.
But when you went up and they went, your flight's not back for how did they spot you?
They looked at it because I guess I'd been over a few months beforehand, and I had it booked for the exact 3 months. It's you can see when I'm coming back. If I was going over to be illegal, I wouldn't have booked a ticket to come back 3 months later.
Well, that'd be the first.
The easiest thing to do, I guess.
Yeah. So he sees you're not coming back for 90 days.
Yeah, and then they check
So the 90 days thing, that's a flag for them, is it?
Yeah.
So then why is he going for 3 months?
Exactly. Yeah.
So you go, what? So he's going, what are you doing?
They think you're going to be working illegally illegally you're doing something when you're over there, and then they check your bank account because you have to show proof of how much money you're bringing.
Yeah.
And they were like, I think I had like €1,000 for 3 months. They're like, do you really think that that's going to be enough to last you for 3 months? I'm like, this is so much money. I'm sleeping on a couch. There are dollar beers, and I'll make like 20 quid from doing comedy sets.
Well, that's the thing they're looking for.
Yeah, they know you're going to get paid somehow doing something. You just don't say that.
My favorite part about this story is, you're a comic. Can you imagine being in a room, you're being grilled for an hour, there's someone standing between you and getting to the States, and then they whip out your comedy notebook and start reading through it. You have to stand by everything you've ever written in there. They're like, this is good, is it? And you're like, this is...
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
No filler. All filler.
Just gets me the girls.
Yeah.
But it's weird because when you're doing that, like, it's the most serious interview I've ever done. Like any job or any like application.
So are they like standing over you?
They're literally, there's a little tiny glass or whatever, like see-through partition, but then you're just right beside them, like as close as me to Kev now.
And he's like, "Oh, can you explain this to me, please?"
Yeah, and then he'll like 10 minutes later ask the same question, just phrased a little bit differently as he's checking your phone and just asking random questions and kind of throwing you off, and like, and who's this person called Ma'am? You're like, oh, we'll have to explain now. That's my mother. Yeah. But yeah, like so many bits and pieces like that, and you're not allowed to make a joke. You can't like, and it's very.
You got a text off Ma'am saying, "Get to fuck."
Yeah.
Where are you going? Where are you going? Where is to fuck? Is that a country?
Is this a gang thing?
Are you going to Mexico via America? It's meant to be the opposite way.
Did they ask you? Are you in a terrorist organisation? Did you ask you that question?
You have to sign a thing before, I think, when you go in. Say, like, there's a couple of questions where you just have to tick the box, and you're like, okay. Yeah.
And is there any like Irish representative backing you, or is it just you and the Americans?
Just me, the Americans.
And were they big?
They were. Everyone's big compared to me.
Were they
so
nice?
It's kind of like they weren't nice at all. They were no.
Did you not say to them, "Wait, lads, there's no need for this"?
But that's probably.
No,
do you know
it's just
what?
me.
It's even better because if they had been nice, I would have been like, crack out the charm, start making a couple of little jokes here now, and they would have been nice to you, and then still rejected
That's when
you.
they get you.
Yeah.
So when they let you go, were they gutted they had to leave you in?
Well, I don't know, because by that stage, I kind of had a feeling after it was going like an hour and 15, I was like, they can't catch me on it, and now they're just like wrapping up like loose ends. I'm going to be fine. There was some poor French fella behind me, and his flight was before mine. And I could just hear him in the background go like, "Le Monde, do whatever the fuck," and he was like losing his shit, and he couldn't get that angry because he was going to be interviewed by the people who were letting him into the country or not. But he was just fucking screaming about like, "My flight's in fucking 20 minutes, and you've taken an hour and 20 minutes with this Irish lad who you're going to let go through." Fairly sure he probably would have missed his flight, but sure.
But they have to pay for the next flight then?
I assume so. Yeah, I don't know. I never looked in.
Fucking Americans, man.
You know what big corporations are like? They love giving away money.
Yeah.
That's true.
But that could have serious impacts for you in your relationship now, that overstaying.
Let's keep this light.
What does your girlfriend think about that?
She's grand. She was happy to have me there for the 6 months when I was.
She's like, "I love you, but the law says I can't see you."
That's it. It makes you want more.
It's fantastic.
The law
have you got an American? Have you been to America?
I've been to America, but in the legal time frame, and I left always ahead of time.
I've been and I've been legal as well.
All legal, all above board. No, my girlfriend is Irish, and I've moved her into my apartment, so it's much easier now than living in the continent.
Right. And okay, so that's it. So does your girlfriend and your girlfriend hang out?
Well, they're probably,
After now, they're in the same apartment at the minute.
Oh, you living together?
Yeah.
Oh, you live together as well? So there's 4 of you in a 2-bed?
Yeah.
In Dublin?
Well, there's 5 of us in a 3-bed. It's a very Dublin situation.
5 of us in a 3. Who's the 5th?
Our friend Davy Doyle.
Who does not have a partner?
He does. She lives somewhere else.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Davy's just there on his own and out.
It's a modern sitcom situation.
What's his name? Davy, but the lads call me Roger Casement. I'm always doing the bad things to the lads in Africa.
But sure, we all work different schedules, and it's rare everyone's in the same house.
Apart from us two, because we run the comedy club down together, the Halfpenny Inn.
Yeah.
So we're doing that for like the 4 nights a week, the podcast together, and then living together as well. So it's.
I'm down there soon.
You are down there soon.
Doing the Thursday.
Yeah,
couple of weeks. The international Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I'm doing you guys on a Thursday.
Thursday. Are we allowed to promote here, or do we have to
whatever
cut
the fuck
that?
you want, mate? I'm not famous. I'm just.
We'll
have a special guest that Thursday.
Yeah.
Gonna die alone.
Yes. Yeah. What's your partner situation? Or this is
my personal situation.
Your partner situation.
Oh, we don't discuss that.
Don't discuss.
You're saying other people.
I didn't realize that was an option.
Don't discuss that. Let's just say that I'm very happy. I'm very happy, and the person who makes me happy knows who it is.
You look like a tennis player.
No,
What's going on?
I'm just drinking Viagra. Fluid
Just
Viagra.
you've got a lot.
That's why we don't talk about the person.
It's a probiotic. I'm drinking 2 litres of water a day because my doctor told me I needed to take in more fluids.
Oh, okay.
And I fly a lot, so I lose a lot of water in the air. But anyway, that's ridiculous. So I want to ask you.
Yeah.
Based on Irish history and based on where we are today with the current state of the world and where we are with Ireland, do you think that the young people or younger people, do you think there's a revolution coming in Ireland?
No.
Why do you think we're so not up for that?
We don't like protesting in general.
Really? Is there a history of protesting with us?
I mean, the big one that people keep talking about is the Irish water, and that was...
And that worked.
That kind of, it worked.
Yeah, it worked, but that was a very... I mean, it was kind of like...
For those of you who
paid
don't,
for it in other ways.
For those of you who don't know what the Irish water is for our North listeners, is that we've never paid for water in the South.
Yeah.
Okay? So when you turn on the tap...
And we're not going to start now.
And then we turn on the tap and the fucking water will be there and it's free, right?
Yeah.
But we had a recession, as I'm sure we all know, and Fine Gael and the Kenny decided the country needed to fucking make a few quid.
Yeah.
So they decided to charge people for water, like they charge people for water in England.
Yes, and most of the rest of the world.
And most of the rest of the world. And then, so they decided to put in meters in everyone's house to start charging people for water. And the Irish people were like, no.
It's, you know, like when
we're not being charged for water.
Yeah, you get in an argument with your partner and, you know, it's about the bins, but it's not really about the bins. It wasn't about the water. That was just like, it was about everything. It was the recession times, getting blasted from all angles. The water was one thing people could rally around and be like, not this.
We're not being charged for water. And the government backed down.
They did. But I mean, we ended up paying...
But what they do then is they just put up tax by...
Yeah, exactly.
They move it around a different way.
That's what
you don't get it in another way. Like
there's no water tax. That means that all the money spent on meters and all that stuff, that was wasted, and then you end up paying... I'm not saying it was a good thing, but I'm just saying that like it's not as if we won that, but you still end up paying money. Like they'll put up the TV license or some other tax. Like
they'll put up another tax to counter-attack.
Yeah.
Oh, look, the student protests were good. I don't know how they were effective enough, but they were great crack. But they were just because like every college, every student union.
I'd say it was a ride fest.
It was literally. Everyone was. It was.
Yeah, what are you protesting for? Equal right. I give you rights behind the buildings. You fucking mad old bitch.
Protesting these fucking trousers, right?
There's a fucking strike going on here.
Sure, I was in Dublin at the time for a college, and then
rising.
But like lads small around the country were coming up on student union organised buses for €2. For €2, you got a return trip to Dublin and a T-shirt. So like it was just you could just walk around and see the drunken students. No one at the protest. I got a full bus from Carlow, didn't even make it down to the street. They just ended up in Dicey's.
We're here for the protest. Yeah. Shifted.
But
what do we want? Fuck it, we're grand.
But sure, what would people be protesting now? Housing. Yeah.
I'm up here because of the housing.
You're up, yeah. But people, I think maybe it's more on the cultural. Like we don't protest, we emigrate.
Yeah, we don't like.
That's the first
protocol.
Yeah, most of the lads who'd be protesting the housing aren't here anymore. They're already out living somewhere else.
Well, the way I look at the housing situation is it's horrendous. But secondly, if everybody had to go back to their own countries, we'd be fucked.
Yeah,
because we've got 12 million passports in the world.
Yeah, but it's nothing to do with more people coming in here. It's more to do with the fact that we just haven't built the house. And
well, the government did from 2006 to 2013. They built no fucking houses. Because they didn't have the money to build.
No,
and now they're playing catch up.
But it is, it's a funny thing. Yeah, like I know because I would have been like in college during the recession, and at the time you're like, "Jesus, the country recession, not an awful lot of money going around. The country's in a bad way." But now reading back and looking at it, I was like, we were a one bounce check away from losing the country. Like it was like when people say like, it was bad. It's not like COVID was like if it was bad, you know, there wasn't that much money going around. The country, the IMF was going to take it away from us.
The IMF was going to lift Ireland up and move it to Germany.
It was just going to be. They were going to get all the East German stuff out again and bring it over here. Like, but so then so for them to turn around, I remember reading these reports and stuff. I thought like in 2011, people were like, "All right, there's not enough housing. We need more houses." But can you imagine being the politician? I'm not saying this is right or wrong. I think it's just a funny position to be in. Imagine being the politician in 2011 who was like, "Right, all those." Like people, all the speculative builders, the banks, all those people who fucked us over in apartments. I know we're all in the middle of we're going to take them out in the streets and hang and shoot them. What if we got them all back to build a load of apartments? Because we're going to need apartments
it's a tricky
quickly,
one, isn't it?
and they're the only people who know how to build them. Also, all the builders have emigrated, so we're going to need to we would have immediately needed to pour money that we didn't have into a business.
The people that fucked us.
The people that fucked us, and it was.
There was plenty of houses in Carlow. No one wanted it.
There was, and there still is.
I'd rather live on the Shankill than Carlow.
I'd rather commute.
There are solutions. People just don't want to move to Carlow. That's the real truth of it.
So there's a because you're like young lads, but like is emigration a thing for you on the radar?
But we're old enough now that we've emigrated and come back.
But there is a second.
I suppose there probably will be another one in the next 5 years because there's Dublin's gone crazy expensive. It is. And
Dublin's disgusting.
But Cork seems to be going the same way as well. Where it's just
Dundalk is basically a suburb of Dublin in terms of prices. You go that far north, people
it's only an hour down.
It's only an hour on the train, so then the prices there are insane. The Dublin suburb catchment area is Dundalk.
I don't know what the solution is. I'm not a I just don't know.
A ton of more houses.
I didn't think coming on we were going to figure out the solution.
I have an answer in my back pocket. Move to Carlow, build more houses.
You think the answer is just it is it's a fuck. But I think that what fascinates me about a country like us have got great resilience and we've overcome so much adversity in our past, through whether it be through British rule and joining the European Union and growing the economy, fucking up the economy, trying to get it back on travel again. We've a great education system here. Like the Leaving Cert is such a highly regarded education system. But the fact that I have a cousin of mine living in New Zealand who's an engineer fixing the bridges after the earthquakes. You're thinking that person could be here working on the Dunkettle roundabout in Cork.
That's true.
You know what I mean? But no, because they can't afford the house.
They can't afford the house.
Do you know what I mean? So it's kind of I don't know. And I think getting Sinn Féin in and Mary Lou McDonald come in, she's not going to fix it. This is not a 5-year thing you fix. Because if housing was so easy to be fixed, they would have done it by now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Because it's a vote winner.
That's the bit of when people are they're just they're dragging their heels and it's just corrupt politicians not doing it. Do you think any politician in the world, if there was a solution to it, they'd be fucking together, be voted in for the next 20 decades if they sorted that.
If they could fix it tomorrow, they would have done it because it's a vote winner. There's systematic problems.
Plus, they'd own half the houses anyway, so it'd be more money for them.
They can charge the rent, short term. But I'll tell you, I was in Wicklow yesterday, on Monday, and driving from Wicklow up the Wicklow Mountains, you can take a nice view all the way across Dublin, all across flat Dublin. You look at any other city in the world. You go to fucking America, you can see the city coming a mile away. You know what I mean? You're driving up to it, you see high-rise buildings, skyscrapers. You can look across Dublin. There's nothing. There's not one building you can really pick out. You can see Croke Park. You can see the Poolbeg Towers. There's no high-rises anywhere. There's no apartment.
We don't go more than 3 floors,
and it's
as a country. You go to America, we don't go more than 3 floors.
No,
we need to start building up.
But there's a
build out as well because it does
build out. Well, that's true as well. You leave the M50, it's grassland. You drive up to fucking Rush, it's fields and cows.
Yeah, but people say just build a house. Yeah, but you got to understand that you got to have the right electricity, the right water, the social amenities, the traffic. So the amount of things that have to work for that to be in Carrigline, where I'm from, in Cork, they must have built about 300 houses. Janeville it's called, as you come into Carrigline, and I remember talking to someone once. They were like, "The country where we've no housing, we need houses."
Yeah.
And then they said they were announcing trails. It's a disgrace they're building them so close to me. Irish people are so full of shit, right?
Oh.
We need housing, but I don't want them near me, because that means if there's 300 houses here, there's potentially that's 600 new cars, right? That's 600 new cars, but also if there's 2 people per house, so that's 600 new people. There's going to be potentially 2 kids a house. So you're going to be looking at 1,200 kids. Yeah. So there has to be a new school. There has to be amenities. Mm-hmm. So local businesses will do well. Takeaways, shippers, shops, centres, supermarkets. But you also have to have access, electricity, plumbing, Wi-Fi, safety, health and safety. Houses need to be built in regulatory standards. There needs to be plumbers, electricians, builders, quantity surveyors. Do we even have those people?
They all left.
They're all working in Australia.
They've all left. Yeah. So what the fuck? Are we going to build a fucking Lego house?
Yeah.
We don't have I think an electrician is equally as important as a GP.
Well, my housemate was an electrician, a good friend of mine.
They're on $2,000 a week, mate.
Tiny homes.
But when they started out, he would have started his apprenticeship in the recession. He was like, "There's no one. There's fuck all." And I said, "What? Your apprenticeship is 4 years? You're a qualified electrician." Yeah. So even now, when it's in dire panic crisis situations, if you have to start training up people now, there's another half a decade before you've got even the workforce to do it, and you have to make sure that workforce doesn't leave in that interim when they can't afford to live here.
Yeah.
But it's a great bit of political business where you can just, because like there's no end of evidence. You can just find like Mary McDonald or different people being like, it's, you know, go into the door and be like, it's a disgrace, minister, you fucked over the people, you need more houses.
It's easy to be in
and
opposition.
But then they are like at some grassroots protest, like in Clontarf, there was those, they're going to put houses in the park there, and everyone shot it down. And then those same politicians go in and give out that there's not enough housing. But then they'll be in front of the local community
it's all
being
spin,
like,
isn't it? Like,
it's all
fucking votes, by.
Why? Let's go.
Are you guys worried about Sinn Féin coming in down south?
No, I'm worried about getting out of here alive now after these questions.
You
No,
said this is a pre-record. It's not going.
Yeah.
No, but it's interesting though. Like I'm not like I think I'm a light view of politics.
Yeah.
I think housing is a big thing. Like, and I also think with the history of this island is we're not a protesting country. Yes, we protest about certain things with the water and stuff like that. But when you compare yourself to fucking France and uprisings and all that, we're more like, oh, geez, protest. No, geez, the match is on now, and I've got the bread.
But
and,
we
have to go to Super Value, and I don't want to be caused a fuss now. You know,
those buses still have to be on time.
Yeah,
we have a history of revolution, and there's, you know, like. It's a revolution every 40 or 50 years, like going back to the mid 1600s. But you wonder how, even in the 16th revolution, there's an awful lot of stuff like how widespread was that, and were the people on side for it?
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like at the time, I don't know. Like at the time, they say that it wasn't that. It was only afterwards and after the executions and after the fallout that people kind of turned around to it. But
it's fucking noise.
I know I'm knocking this whole thing over now, but. I mean, Sinn Féin are going to get elected.
Yeah, how do you feel about Sinn Féin coming power down south?
It's going to happen.
I'm interested in it. I don't know. I've never voted Sinn Féin in my life. I've never voted Fine Gael in my life or Fianna Fáil in my life. When I vote, you know, when you see the independents,
you vote for like
bottom,
that. There's
a guy there and he's got 62 votes. Who's fucking voting him? I'm fucking voting for him. Why? He wants to change bin day from Monday to Wednesday.
There's a TD in West Cork called Michael Collins.
Is there?
Yeah, TD. Like now, his whole thing is just vote Mick.
Vote Mick. I'll give you the fucking new island you never got.
You fucked it up back then. You can right your wrongs. Vote Mick.
And there's a guy in East Cork called De Valera. Shitetalk History. Your live show again is Friday,
the 3rd of March.
Friday the 3rd of March in the Sunflower. It's a live podcast with the lads. You got some stuff planned for the night?
Yeah, and we have Darren Matthews on as a guest.
Yes. Darren loves Ireland.
He does, yeah.
Darren fucking loves Ireland, by.
Yeah,
and Beamish. He just keeps sending me photos of Beamish.
So if you're looking for something to do on the Friday, go down to the Shitetalk History podcast down at the Sunflower Comedy Club. Where can we see you? Where can we find you? What's your socials? What's all the bits and bobs? We'll attach them onto the YouTube anyway.
Mine's Kevlar Comedy, which makes it sound much tougher than it
Kevlar.
is. Kevin Larney, that's a portmanteau of my name, but
I have a less stupid one. Mine was Jason B Comedy.
Jason B Comedy.
That's stupider.
But listen, lads, I really appreciate you coming up, and I hope Belfast is good to you for the night. And also, you do a lot of live shows across the country with Irish history and stuff like that. So please do download and listen to their podcast as well. And they also have a Patreon as well if you ever want to sign up for any extra stuff. But we appreciate you coming up here to the north.
No problem.
Thanks, lads.
Cheers. Thanks for having us on.
Thank you, everyone.